Jimmy Butler, he's a very interesting player to me.
He's like, oh shoot, I don't know where to go with the ball because I haven't been able to think.
It was a great series. Game 4 was one of the best games I've ever watched in my entire life. Now LeBron's a 4-time champion, and Anthony Davis gets his first.
It's unacceptable. So happy when the Astros lost because it would definitely be a 2020 thing.
Yeah, I was impressed by their game. Braden Point, Andre Palat, Nikita Kucherov. That was the best line in the playoffs, no doubt.
Stay undefeated when they face the mighty Cowboys with Garrett Gilbert.
Hey everyone, I'm Jared Sandler, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our sports opinions of the week. This is a recorded episode before, and it's just going to be in general. Do guys rest or play? And I'm Kevin, and I'm joined by the 1%er, Austin. 100%er, not 1%.
Works out all the same. This is something that's been on my mind for a while because of how many players we have seen rest in sports, especially in basketball. I think is the most obvious place where resting occurs. And what are your thoughts? Do you think players should rest? We'll start with NBA exclusively, then we'll kind of go through the rest of the sports.
I understand resting in the NBA, and I think a really good point that was brought up on like a talk show that was talking about it is these guys have been playing like almost professionally, but have been doing a lot the past 10 years, more than I think when previous athletes played in 10 years. Does that make sense or no?
Are you talking about like AAUs in college ball?
Yeah, I'm talking about AAU, and I think you could say the same thing with baseball. That's kind of the thing I see it. Those are the two sports I think about it most. Where, like, when you're 6 and you're a pitcher, or I don't know, I didn't play baseball, but when you start in sports and you really only do that sport when you're 9, I think that puts a lot of wear and tear on your body. So I don't think these guys are less athletic or less strong. I think it's more refined to where, hey, you need rest. And I think they've just put their body onto a heart. They've put so much pressure on their body for a longer period of time. So I understand resting them, but it also, like, Luka's been out multiple times. And I think that's part because of the pressure he was over this past season. And he's been playing professionally since he was 13. So that kind of goes into that. But it's also, I think fitness is a level, but sometimes there's not much you can do. So I would probably have guys rest in the NBA season because it's not where in the NFL there's such a little amount of games. And then MLB, they take days off, but it's only after they've been playing for a long amount of times. So I know I didn't give you a clear-cut answer, but I'd say I want to play a lot of times because I want my players to have that chemistry. I'm a huge believer in team chemistry, and maybe it's because I played soccer, and to me, that's one of the most important team chemistries.
Yeah, but I think hockey, we'll go a little bit into hockey. Hockey players don't rest. For example, Joe Pavelski has not missed a game all year. And he's 38 years old, almost 39. He'll be 39, I guess, in the offseason, but recent offseason, or very close. And he's playing every game. And I know he went and played college hockey, and I bet he played youth hockey because to be a current player, all the players probably played youth hockey in the early 2000s and all that stuff. What's so different between baseball and basketball and NHL?
That's a very good question and good point. NHL. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I'm not sure
because it's more physical than basketball. It's more physical than baseball. Now, baseball has more games played, but NHL and NBA both have 82 games.
Yeah, that's a really good point, and I'm not sure I can give you a good answer. I would just say baseball to me, I think of pitchers a lot.
Pitcher rest is not really rest. You should pitch every 5 days. If you're not pitching every 5 days, then you're resting. If you have a rest day, it's normally that 6th day that you would be pitching on the 5th, but you take it off.
But yeah. But when I think of younger kids just getting selected as a pitcher, hey, you're a pitcher at 9, and then
oh no! As someone who used to pitch and has elbow injuries into my 20s, I can tell you right now that it's not good for the body.
Yeah.
Pitching at a young age is not something that I want anyone to do. It is straining.
Like, I would be a proponent of do different sports.
Oh, 100%.
Different muscles. Because I think sometimes you get pigeonholed and do different ones. And
if you are under the age of 14, you should be playing 2 sports.
Yeah.
If you want to play sports, you should be playing.
Yeah, and if you
sports.
want to try a different sport, and if you have the capabilities of doing it, I would do it because I think there's a lot mentally that you get pigeonholed, and then.
What sports did you play growing up?
So I was main soccer, and then I did basketball until high school. And I was an all right basketball player, but I was mostly doing basketball to stay in shape for soccer. And I would say I'm the best at soccer.
So those are the 2 sports you played growing up, you'd say?
I didn't do baseball. And
football?
I wasn't allowed to play football.
That's tough.
Well, yeah, it's just the brain injuries, which was probably worked out. But you played all sports, right?
Name and I probably played it. As
hockey?
long as it's so growing up, I played hockey, baseball. And in 7th and 8th grade, I played just 8th grade. I played basketball, but I also played in 5th grade, and I also played like sophomore year on an AAU team. But it was weird. That whole team dynamic thing was weird. And I played football. I played like 1 game 5th grade, and then 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, and then. Hockey I played until I was like 12, and then I got back into it and played it 3 of my high school years. What sport am I missing? Oh, baseball. Baseball I played forever, and then I got hurt when I was 10, destroyed my elbow, kind of got back into it, and in high school my elbow started hurting, and I didn't get it really fixed until recently. And then I played volleyball as well in middle school a little bit, but that's kind of just. I played a tournament in a lot of different sports. It's just trying to, like you said, it's to work different muscles. It's to stay in shape. It's not always about, I want to be professional at volleyball. That's not really the reason why I was playing it. It's just fun and stay in shape.
Yeah, I was hoping I could get really good at soccer, but then I was like, it's a lot of work. And then there was just other things. But that was my main, I want to be really good at soccer. And
did you ever rest when you played?
No, I was the player on the team where my coach would ask me if I was hurt, and I'd lie and be like, "No, I'm fine."
Yeah, that's. I think most players are like that.
I'm just like,
most players, at least before they're paid, I feel like a lot of players are like that. And then they get paid and they realize I'm gonna make the same amount of money if I don't play tomorrow. Why am I playing tomorrow?
Yeah, and it's better for me to rest.
Yeah, but I do think there's a little bit of a discrepancy between. I don't think people rest in NFL at all. Unless it's last game of the season and your team's in the playoffs and there's no reason to play, I'm not counting that. But any other instance, no.
And to me, with the NFL, it's I understand resting. You don't want to physically go up against someone as much. But then that's your point with hockey.
Yeah.
And I'm not really sure, but with football, I kind of view hockey in a similar vein to soccer. And I guess you could say with basketball too, it's the non-communicating, if you know what I mean. Because I'm getting back into soccer and I'm just realizing how much the team dynamic matters, because you have to pass. I have to know how far I kick the ball ahead of you. Because
you have to know. It's kind of like QB. You have to know how fast the wide receiver is. You have to know how tall the wide receiver is. You have to know how high they can jump to know how you can throw it. Yeah, there's a big team dynamic in hockey. Yeah, because you can get hit so often. It's something you have to worry about. Is where am I putting this puck? How do I not give it up to the other team? How are we going to create chances to score? Yada yada yada.
Yeah. And hockey players that you don't know the injuries they're dealing with till at the very end of the season.
Oh no, when they say they have a broken back and a collapsed lung and
like Tyler Seguin,
it
torn away from that. Dang dude.
Yeah, where Zdeno Chara played with a shattered jaw in the Stanley Cup final.
Yeah.
I've heard of guys having a broken leg and playing through games. Hockey players will just tape up their legs and say, "I'm going out there." And I think that's a big reason why I'm not a proponent of resting, because I played hockey for so long and I played hockey in high school, and you really were looked down upon if you sat out because of rest reasons. Like if someone's seriously hurt, like we get it. Like this ain't, don't kill yourself on the ice, but
yeah,
it's something where hockey players it's synonymous with playing until you can't. So when when a hockey player's out, at least for 99% of them, if they're out, they're out. They cannot play, or they would be on the ice.
Yeah, NBA is probably the most common.
Oh, 100%.
And I think it could be a mixture of mentality, but also, yeah, because when you were to end the show, I was like, I don't really have a good answer. NBA, I think if they shorten the season and they did,
I don't think you can't shorten the season. You can't, or every record ever is unbreakable. No one is reaching LeBron's. If you make the season 56 games or 60 games, LeBron's record is unbeatable. No shot. None. A guy would have to play 22 years and also be a better scorer than LeBron, in which you're playing less games. So you'd have to play every game, no rest games at all. No shot. None. Every record would be unbreakable.
So
points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks.
Yeah. How would you incentivize not taking games?
Well, I think they did a really good job in the latest CBA that you have to play 65 games to be an MVP candidate. That is huge. People are like, money. These players already have enough money. You're not going to incentivize LeBron to play in a play-in in a in-season tournament for $500,000 or whatever it is. LeBron doesn't care about a $500,000 check. But if you're like, hey, Jokic doesn't. Jokic, Embiid, those guys don't really. Embiid's just hurt. I don't think he really rests. But for a player like Kawhi, and I don't think Kawhi cares because it's Kawhi, so I got to get a better example than that.
Maybe take like a young player.
Yeah, Luka, for example.
Yeah, Luka.
Sure. You have to play 65 games if you want to win MVP. And so I think that will incentivize players to play. And if you don't play 65 games, well, you cannot be MVP. You literally cannot. And I think that's a major part of how they will incentivize players in the future is by game requirements. Hey, you can't lead the league in points per game if you don't play 60 games. Or yada, yada, yada. Because those requirements cause players to have to play games when they can. But you're still not going to play a game to win MVP if you're hurt. Because it's not worth a career-ending injury.
Yeah. And I know this goes against the points with the NHL. With the NBA, it seems like a lot of soft tissue. It's a hamstring pull.
But no, a lot of the injuries I see are bruises. What do they call it?
Contusion?
Contusion. That's just a bruise. And they're like, oh, leg contusion.
Yeah, I had a contusion once. It really hurt. And they're like, you're fine. And after 2 days, I was fine. But like, it was not in the moment.
I've had some bad bruises and played through them. That's what hockey is. When you take a slap shot to the stomach sometimes and you're like, I can't breathe anymore. And you have a huge welt on your stomach now. And then you're back on the ice the next shift. It doesn't matter. Again, I've seen hockey guys break their leg and then still play the rest of the shift.
Yeah, so that's why I was like, what were you going to say?
No, you go.
Well, it was just like, the NBA, I see soft tissue injuries, but then you have hockey guys like Tyler Seguin. And I'm just bringing Tyler Seguin because that's the one that sticks out to me. Yeah, I was playing with my hamstring torn away from my hip.
Yeah, or Rope Hintz, who broke his ankle.
Oh, damn.
It's
that one's...
And eventually, at the very end, he was out because, like, I can't walk. Like, I don't know.
Your ankles are tough. As someone that dealt with an ankle injury, but that was all
Yeah.
soft tissue.
It's just, I think it's a major reason why I want to bring this conversation up. In MLB, I'm okay with resting to an extent because players are playing less games. No one's going to break Cal Ripken's record; it's unbreakable. But I don't think playing 140 games instead of 162. If you're fully healthy the whole year, you play 140 or 162. That's fine. I'm fine with that. There's 162 games. Like, okay, if you need to rest to make sure you don't get an injury, even though if you're 100%, I get it. And maybe even for NBA, I'd consider resting maybe 8 games a year. Hey, back to back, we just played 2 games in the last 3 nights. It was game, off, game. That last game, you're off. I can't do it, guys. I'm really tired. I don't want to get hurt. Maybe those few times you play those, you rest in. Sure. If the game doesn't matter, you think you're going to win the game. Sure. You play against this year's Spurs, and you think, hey, you guys got it. Sure. But it's to the extent where I don't think any NBA player that's fully healthy should play less than, I'll say, 74 games. Like I said, maybe rest 8. But Mikal Bridges plays every game and still plays well. It really does raise the question to me, how important do they value winning? Or is it just money?
Yeah, it could be money, or it could be just like we've talked about it before, just how many teams get in. But that kind of goes into chemistry. Another thing that I think of is maybe the traveling. Is the traveling from the NHL different than the NBA? Or are the games more spaced out in the NHL than they are in the NBA?
There's a couple times during the year, or a lot of times during the year, where they play 3 out of 4 nights. So I don't think the games are as spread out, but they just don't care.
Yeah, maybe it's conditioning for the NBA side. NHL is, and I would probably say Joe Pavelski is probably very healthy, and he knows his limits of how to work out and to strengthen his body, and then doing stretching and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so I would say, like, I want my guys playing 95% of the time. But if it's a moment where, like, hey, I want to give this younger guy a time to play, and, like, we're doing 3 out of 4 nights, I'll just let you not play as much. Because I would do that if we were winning by a lot and we had a tournament.
That's my thing. That's when resting is good. That's when resting is good.
Because I played for a tournament, when we won it, there were already 3 games in one day. But then we had 2 more games the next day. And we were
me with baseball. Man, that those are memories right there. 3 games one day, 3 games the next day. What are we doing out here? What are we doing?
I love those tournaments.
Oh no, it's amazing. But at some point, your arm falls off your body and you can't even lift it.
The next few days really hurt when I was like, man, my legs really hurt. Well, it's because
that's when I don't want to go to school. Maybe a Friday night tournament, or it's Friday night you play a game, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Sunday, and you play until you lose. And maybe that's 3 games because it's a long tournament, and you're just playing so much. And I loved it. I loved playing. I never wanted to come out. But at times I probably should have took the press the brake a little bit.
Yeah. And, like, I'll do it now, like, lifting weights. I still put a rest day in one, but, like, it's just, like, I try not to do it too hard. But that's just because I'm not sure how injuries, but, like, I don't have what NBA players have. Like, they can hire a trainer to where they can go, hey, how long can I do this? Because Kobe was working out. Kobe was, like, the epitome of playing almost every night.
100%.
And he was working out 3 times a day, or what was the crazy thing? He'd wake up at 4 a.m. Do you know what I'm talking about? He would talk about that's why he had a helicopter, because it would optimize the speed at which he could get to.
Oh, yeah.
But so I think there's a way to do it, and, like, you can pay someone good amount of money where you still have a ton of money, but then someone else knows how to treat your body and probably stretch more. So I think it could probably be a conditioning thing, and then you can take a few nights off. But I do think the NBA is getting to a point where players are like, "Yeah, I'll take a night off," and some
Yeah,
guys are just injury prone.
Yeah, injury prone. I feel like can always be changed because there's players that at the beginning of their career they're really hurt, really hurt, really hurt, and then they get a long stretch of great play where they're not hurt. But it comes down to conditioning and taking the games off that you need to. And hey, we're up by 30 at halftime. Maybe play 5 minutes in the second half if necessary. Hey, we're up 3-0 in a series. I'm gonna play, but I if we get up and we think we're gonna win, let me just play less minutes. It's pacing yourself throughout the year. Not, I think a big reason why players get hurt is because they rest. Because it's a start stop.
That's fair.
Start stop. Start stop. Start stop. No. Hey, you want to rest? Okay, this week we're only gonna play you 15 minutes a game. You're gonna play, but we're all 3 games of the 3 to 4. You're gonna play 15 minutes. That's your requirement, and that's it.
And this is how we haven't talked about the NFL that much, but I do think we've seen more injuries since they've restricted the practice times.
100%.
Because I
think I think adding an extra game in the NFL is stupid. I will never.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And like with the preseason games, I think some guys just won't play, and I think there has to be some type of warm up to it because, like you said, you can't go 100, then 0, then 100 again, then 0. Like you need to do it incrementally, and it could be for different players. To where you
and that's why you still practice in those days. Like if you have 3 to 4 days for the game, you're practicing that day off probably because you have 2 games coming up. Like, are you just gonna take? You can't just take a full. Like, look, they're not hardcore practicing. They're not running.
They're like
gassers. There's not. They're not. Yeah, they're just. Hey, let's get the blood pumping. Let's shoot a few shots. Let's work on this one play. Let's just walk through this play. Walk through it, and then shoot the shot at the end. Hey, let's work on free throws today. We're not that good at free throws right now. Let's work on free throws. And it's just pacing yourself. It's not start stop, which I do think is a big reason why injuries prevail sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe we'll have to find someone. We'll have to find some like physical therapist or doctor or something. So I'm very intrigued on what the right way to do it is. Or because like I get warming up, and now I think once you get older, even though we're not that old, I feel much different after I play a game of soccer than I did.
I think it's because we're not playing it every day. Like I feel the same way about playing basketball.
Like now I stretch after every game, and I actually warm up before.
Oh no, I warm up before. I stretch after. If I played long enough at the gym, I will take an ice bath because I need it.
Yeah, Epsom salt baths are awesome, but at the gym I do not stretch. Like I'll just think about it with the set. Like, okay, I'm not gonna go too hard. Like I'll try to do like a push up if I'm doing chest day. Like that's one of the first things I do, and then I'll get like a bench press in the middle or at the end.
Yeah, you just have to pace yourself. Know your limits.
Yeah. So, and then I think I do it like a few weeks to where then I'll ramp up the weight, but then sometimes like if I'm not feeling, because I think there's a moment when you feel like you're ready physically.
It's a mentality as well. I feel like, like, hey, I'm ready.
So we're on team play, but we understand rest. We're not saying we're not 60. The coaches in the 60 for football, we're gonna run 100 miles, no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know what you think. And if you have thoughts, let us know in the comments, and feel free to DM our Twitter, DM our Instagram, comment. Instagram is OO_podcast20. Twitter is OO_podcast. And that's all we got. Anything you want to add, Austin?
Nope.
All right. Thank you so much, and we appreciate all the support. Thank you for listening to Outsiders Opinions.